Coming up on Mountain News this morning, Letcher County is trying to look past Mickey Stein's court case and instead focus on its community. And the Christian Appalachian Project is preparing to send its own round of supplies to those suffering from Helene.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News This Morning.
Good morning. I'm Madison Carmouche. We're at that 5:30 mark this Thursday morning. And like Tim and I always say, it's Friday Eve. So let's send it over to him for a look at your forecast.
And we're dealing with the fog on this Friday Eve, Madison. Hi, everyone. A good Thursday morning to you. 59 as the visibility continues to decrease. And not only just here in Perry County or Breathitt County, but all of eastern and southern Kentucky. Dense fog advisory in effect until 10 a.m. this morning. Don't worry, things will improve a little bit quicker than they did yesterday afternoon, but we did promise a slow go, right? And it did feel pretty good and looked pretty good, 4 or 5 o'clock. Yeah, I know, not soon enough, right? 59 here in Hazard, 56 London, 58 at Pikeville. Nothing going on locally minus the fog this morning. Those couple of boundaries that have pushed through in the last 24 to 36 hours are to our east. High pressure on top of us means that once the sunshine ends up burning the fog off, we're left with the sunshine, right? And it will be a beautiful afternoon and a very pleasant feel to the air with the high of 79. The weekend forecast, kind of 50-50. We'll explain heading through this half hour. Madison?
All right, Tim, thank you. As former Sheriff Mickey Steins awaits a possible grand jury indictment, a space in Whitesburg is hoping to focus more on the community and less on the courtroom. Members of the Graham Memorial Presbyterian Church wanted to use the grounds to promote healing in the aftermath of Mullen's death and Stein's arrest. The church had its doors open, providing meals to workers from both buildings, and opened its sanctuary for prayer and meditation.
Come over, sit down, eat, enjoy, take a minute. They want someone to hold their hand or just pray with them or just sit with them or not even talk at all. Just let them have a moment. That's what we're here for. We wanted our doors to be open to those folks because they are our folks.
The church opened its doors at 8 a.m. with coffee and donuts and served lunch at 11:30. Spangler says they want to feed bodies as the community works to stand back up. An update this morning on a Southern Kentucky murder case. Gerald Hendricks will spend 1 decade in prison for the death of Leanna Brumley. The Pulaski County woman disappeared in May of 2019. Her remains were found 6 months later. Police say she was shot, hit in the head with a hatchet, and set on fire. Hendricks was originally charged with murder and evidence tampering. This week, he pleaded guilty to manslaughter, evidence tampering, and 4 counts of kidnapping. He was sentenced to 10 years in prison. On Sunday, we told you about another suspect, Danielle Powell. We incorrectly reported that she was still facing a murder charge in this case. She had told police she was forced to kill Brumley. Powell took a plea deal in 2022 for the lesser charge of second-degree manslaughter. She is due in court again in January. A Canadian man is facing charges after police found more than 30 guns during traffic stop on I-75 in Madison County. 6 of those guns were reported stolen and 3 of them were converted to fully automatic. 20-year-old Sean Maxwell of Ontario, Canada was arrested and charged with receiving stolen property. The ATF and the U.S. Attorney's Office will continue the investigation. 2 former Louisville police officers involved in the Breonna Taylor raid have been indicted again. The superseding indictment comes after a judge dismissed charges against former detectives Joshua Janes and Sergeant Kyle Meany in August. The new federal indictment expands on evidence and includes additional claims. Janes and Meany are accused of knowingly using false information and omitting details to get a search warrant for Taylor's apartment. In Pike County, 3 people are behind bars after police found suspected meth and fentanyl in a vehicle during a traffic stop. The incident started when police discovered that the vehicle was speeding on Monday. After smelling marijuana, police asked the 3 people to get out of the car. Police also found a handgun on one of the suspects. David Howell, Heather Howell, and Isaiah Harrell were taken to the Pike County Detention Center. A woman is facing charges after police seized drugs at a home in Campbell County, Tennessee. On Monday, members of the Campbell County Sheriff's Office executed a narcotics search warrant at a home in Jacksboro. During the search, authorities found drug paraphernalia, heroin, and a handgun. 38-year-old Stephanie Elaine Duncan was arrested and taken to the Campbell County Jail. In Knox County, the Richland Fire Department had their hands full putting out a massive fire. All 5 trucks and several firefighters were called to the scene on Old Farm Road just before 5:30 yesterday morning. A house and 2 storage buildings were on fire, and a nearby home was being damaged by the heat. Firefighters began an aggressive attack, preventing the second home from igniting or receiving any further damage. A building in Monticello was destroyed by a fire. Crews responded to it early yesterday morning. It was on Highway 833. Crews were at the scene for almost 2 hours with no injuries reported. Local and state leaders are recognizing October as Domestic Violence Awareness Month, which advocates say is a great step forward. Pike County's Domestic Violence Coalition met yesterday in the Pike County Fiscal Courtroom as Judge Executive Ray Jones signed a proclamation recognizing the month's significance. Area advocates, including representatives from the Turning Point Domestic Violence Shelter, say the desire to keep people safe and create a network for those in need is strong in the region.
We have so many agencies that are on board with us for understanding what domestic violence is and just stepping up to help in any way that they can.
Turning Point is planning a variety of events throughout the month devoted to increasing awareness, mourning lives lost, and celebrating survivors. An Eastern Kentucky-based organization is preparing to send relief to areas impacted by devastating and deadly flooding. The Christian Appalachian Project will send supplies and personnel to areas that experienced widespread flooding after the recent hurricane moved up into eastern Tennessee and western North Carolina. WYMT's Phil Pendleton spoke to one man who says this support is especially meaningful to him.
Buckets of hope and a lot of other items will soon be on their way to either North Carolina or East Tennessee. And for Mark Cable, the donations are going to an area he knows a lot about.
It was 2 days before I got to hear from my mom or dad, and some of my aunts and uncles was more 4 or 5 days before I got to, to find out if they were okay.
They're all fine now, as the flooding didn't just cut off roads and utilities, it shut down communication, and that was a very hard time. Trying to trust in the Lord, but panic too, just the fear of not knowing if, there's okay or what, because I know there's a lot of devastation and a lot of lives that's been lost. Cable is among those loading up supplies and will join others embarking on a wide range of relief work.
Muck and gut, to help clean up, chainsaw work. We're taking our shower trailer down.
Much of the area still has no electricity, running water, or access.
I have actually had a friend, I talked to him, and his mother and dad lost their home. It got swept away in the flood.
For Cable, the trip will be a bit of a homecoming, but for the survivors, he knows it'll mean so much more.
To be able to be a part of something to help people in general, but especially how close it's impacted me, having my family back there.
Relief workers say the challenge right now is simply accessing the area and finding exactly where to set up to provide the help. In Rockcastle County, Phil Pendleton, WYMT Mountain News.
The group says they are working with impacted areas, but is not sure yet which state they will focus on at this time. The Kentucky Blood Center is stepping up to help hard-hit areas. Officials say they sent some blood products to Tennessee yesterday. However, with several blood drives canceled on Friday and Saturday because of Helene, the center is working to recover from the setback. October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and public health workers are stressing the importance of checkups and screenings. As the Pike County Health Department paints Pikeville pink with storefronts dedicating displays to breast cancer awareness, Public Health Director Tammy Riley says it is all about promotion and prevention. Riley hopes all of the pink will persuade people to pay attention to their own bodies.
You know your breast better than, and your body better than anyone else is going to know any small changes that occur, small lumps, changes in the skin, for example. Any change whatsoever, you would want to have that discussion with your healthcare provider.
Riley says on top of a mammogram every 2 years and self-examinations every month, the FDA recommends additional ultrasounds based on breast density. The Corbin Police Department is standing united in support of those affected by breast cancer. They say they honor the strength of survivors and remember those who have been lost. You can see the pink ribbon on the side of the police car in recognition of Breast Cancer Awareness Month. The funeral arrangements for a former pro golfer in Kentucky will be later today. Luther Minor was a former pro golfer at the Harlan County Country Club who died during the weekend. His visitation is today from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. at the Gate City Funeral Home in Gate City, Virginia. The funeral will take place after the visitation. Luther Minor was 84 years old. When we return, want to broadcast over the airwaves? Soon Radio Day in Hazard can help you achieve that goal with the aid of a local station.
A lot of us waking up to some fog this morning. Not only fog, dense fog. We'll talk about the dense fog advisory and a look ahead through the weekend. Your ARH First Alert 7-day forecast after the break.